So, how do I back up my business entity? What I mean by that is protecting, however abstract it might sound, protecting your ability to do business. If there were another person that were going to do, or another organization that was going to do exactly what you did, would you have any recourse with that? If there was another type of physical or man-made disaster that wiped out your building and wiped out all the records that you have as far as a business that you're doing, would you be able to build it up in the same way? Would you be able to protect your entity if other people tried to use it? I think about this all the time. I think you should as well. And even though I'm a business coach and I've been doing business for a little while, there's still areas where I'm like, "Oh, I need to tighten that up." In fact, there were things I was thinking about as I was preparing for this episode where I'm like, oh, yeah, that was on my to do list. Let's tighten up a little bit more. So it's not a matter of saying, I'm going to do everything possible to protect everything with my business, and then it'll be, some code of silence, perfectly, perfectly ramparted foundational thing, and nothing will happen to my business. That's not realistic. When you start your business, it might be from your kitchen table. It might be you and a friend just messing around, and then you come up with this idea that turns gold. It might be a thing that just starts with you messing around on a camera or on your laptop, and then it becomes a thing. So it's a matter of checking in and figure out when it becomes a thing. There's some episodes I'll recommend in a moment that talk more about that. But when do things become a thing, right? As you expand on that, then you need to go ahead and do a check-in and figure out where your business currently is. One of the ways you can do this is figuring out what kind of business entity you have. Now, there's the simple, I started a business, so I'm just running with it. That would be called, if it's just you in particular, that would be called a sole proprietorship. So it's just you. A lot of y'all that I coach are solopreneurs. You're like, yeah, I do the side hustle. It's like, okay, if it's a side hustle, then it's a sole proprietorship. That's fine. The next level above that would be a DBA, or doing business as. Then you have the equivalent of a social security number, if you want to call it that here in the States, that that is like your business identity. This is my business. And it starts to have a separate identity from who you are as an individual with your own social security number, identification, and so forth. It's a little bit of separation. The next level of separation will be an LLC, or limited liability corporation. And with that, then you're like, okay, this company is over here. This is my company. This is me as an individual. If some stuff goes down, like if I end up getting sued, or there ends up being some weird tax liability with the company that I built, then y'all can't touch this over here. And we're getting more into trademark, then ends up being, if someone tries to use that company and say, oh yeah, we're gonna do the same company as so and so, then there's actual legal recourse that you have. I am not a lawyer. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm still learning. And one of the fantastic parts about this is you can keep learning too. And there's business decisions that I made that in the long term probably weren't that great, but they did what they needed to do in the short term. And there's other times where I got so aggressive as far as building up the business that and wanting the idea of the business that I wasn't working on the business itself. So you can fall into either camp. Consider this a check-in now with the type of business that you have, how you're looked at as a from the government standpoint, which is what we're really talking about, as far as it being a not solopreneurship, sole proprietorship. It sounds so similar. A sole proprietorship, um, a DBA, doing business as an LLC, and there's also other options within that. As you go further and further, figure out where you fit in there, and it might be worth doing a check-in. One recommendation that I would have is to get some support. One place you can get support is from a new company I heard about over the past year. It's called Doula. Reminds me of the doulas that I know that are helping birth babies and healthfully into the world. Shout out to all the doulas I know. DOULA. This one is DOOLA. It's simply this: you have a business that you want to start, or you've already started a business, and you recognize that you've hit a cap. You're like, yeah, I was doing this sole proprietorship. I really need to do a DBA. I was doing DBA. I really need LLC. I was doing LLC, but I really want to do an S corp or even a B corp because I really want to have almost like a nonprofit status in the world. All those different details. This is the place that will hook you up with it. I end up getting a special deal with them. So check them out and they will help you get things settled. Also, too, if you're overseas or you're trying to establish yourself as a business owner here in America, but you're just new here or you're still trying to get here, they can actually help you with that too. So if you're trying to, I've been born and raised in America, so there's certain things that I understand just because I've been in this environment. If you're overseas or if you're a new immigrant, they will actually specifically help guide you as far as what regulations you need to work with. So shout out to the immigrants in my family. Much love to y'all and shout out to all immigrants. You know, we're building. We're building. So if we're about the building, this is a great partner to work with. Shout out to Dula. I appreciate y'all for sure. If you want to go deeper into business entities and taxes and things of that nature, again, here in America, it's tax season, so we're about halfway through February. Taxes are usually wrapped up in the middle of April. So it is go time for shout out to all my CPA folks. I know y'all are busy right now. Live Q&A, tax and money tips for creatives. One of my favorite episodes, actually. And it gives breaks down some of the stuff that I just talked about, but even deeper. It's a whole episode on it. Be sure and check it out. In what ways are you protecting your business? Um, do you have kind of an ad hoc business, which we all start with? No judgment. Me too. Do you have kind of an ad hoc business, but you've got enough money coming in or you've got enough structure where you're like, you know what? Let me file that trademark because my name is kind of hot. Let me get that trademark going before I go any further. Or did you say, yeah, that LLC is looking good? Are you working in a business which I don't have this issue as much, so it's not as much of a again problem for me? Are you working in a business where you're liable to get sued? If you're working in a business where you're liable to get sued as far as your startup or your company, yeah, what are you doing to protect yourself? Again, some of the links below will help with that. But how are you working it out? I love to hear it. I know some of my coaching clients kind of struggle with that because the kind of work they do is highly litigious and they're trying to make sure they protect themselves. Keep that in mind, particularly with it being a new year. This would be the year to get yourself together because, yeah, it's wild out there. I'm entrepreneur coach Damon Brown. You're watching Bring Your Worth TV. I'm live every Wednesday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. If you're working to protect your business entity, let us know what's working, what's not working. How are you going to level up this upcoming year? We would love to hear. I didn't mean